degree to qualify as a qualified settlement for tax purposes.
Okay. Another question. Someone would logically say, just like lawyers need to be paid, and sometimes they're paid out of that settlement, how you have management fees, how are those things structured? Just
similar to buying a CD at the bank. You accept a 5% CD. They don't charge you any fees, but they're earning 6% with your money. Mm-hmm. They're paying the person who sold it to you. They're making their profit. They're paying their corporate taxes. The same kind of thing. There's no added dollar. There's no ongoing cost. When you give me $500,000 and I say I'm going to give you $3,500 a month for the rest of your life, and I'm going to put college funds together for your 3 children, you're going to get that. The rate might be 4, 5, or 6%, but that's what you're going to get. There's no more cost. There's no ongoing cost. There's no annual statements. It's fixed. It's guaranteed.
And you're buying essentially maybe something that might be a bond under a discounted rate or something so that you get to save.
The life insurance company that provides settlement annuities,
yes,
they buy groups of bonds to match the payment stream. So if we were getting David a lump sum when he turned 60 of $100,000, they're probably going to be putting aside $70,000 today, buying a zero coupon treasury bond that comes due within a short period of time of when he turned 60, and that's how they fund their payments going into the future. They lay out the investments to match the obligations that they have.
We always ask when there is any issue on the table. There are many people who are savvy. There are many people who want to do it yourself, do it online. Are there ways of doing such things? There are calculators online. How do those things work, and how would you evaluate them?
Not for a structured settlement.
Okay.
In fact, first off, a structured settlement can only be acquired as part of the settlement. You can't hear about it at the mediation, have your attorney send you the check for the $1 million, and 6 months later call me up and say, Chris, we met at the mediation, I'd like to structure this money. It's too late. The technical transaction is the defendant is agreeing to a settlement of some money today and a series of payments over the future. And they're funding it with an annuity contract, and that's what you're accepting.
And it does behoove the defendant to be participating in this? It will cost his insurance company presumably less out of pocket at once because it's going along?
No,
or is it still that one lump for him?
It's simply a lump sum for them.
Okay.
They no longer have an obligation. They're not guaranteeing the payments. The defendant is not guaranteeing the payments from the annuity. A separate company, part of the life insurance company, is guaranteeing those future payments. So what you're looking at is a series of payments that's coming from a guarantee within a life insurance company. Only your very best life insurance companies provide structured settlements. People don't want to deal with a low-rated life insurance company, even if they have better rates. They want to know that 40, 50, 60, 70 years down the road, those payments are going to be made.
One other thing, Deb, if I can chime in, I was thinking about this as you guys were talking. The structure doesn't have to be the entire amount of the settlement.
That's what I wanted. Yes.
It's not an all or nothing. So you'll see many, many cases where there'll be some money paid out in a lump sum, and then some of the money will then be put into a structure. Some people feel more comfortable that way. So it can be a part of it, but not the entire amount.
And the proper balance is when you have some money invested, a mutual fund. I've done many cases where I invite in various trust companies and have them manage some of the dollars, stock market-wise, the bond market-wise, and I'm guaranteeing that nothing is going to fall short on the monthly needs, on the budgeting needs.
That's your responsibility.
That's my responsibility.
Almost every case has to have some portion of the money paid up front in a lump sum to pay for attorney's fees, to pay for medical expenses that haven't been paid. And
catching up on some bills, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Explain when you were setting up an annuity for the person who had the accident, who was injured, there to get that money. Suppose they die prematurely. What happens to the rest of them? Does it go to their estate, their wife, their child who has college funds? What happens?
Various ways we make guarantees. When I have a catastrophically injured and we're paying them for the rest of their life, I will guarantee the first 10 or 20 or 30, 40 years so that if they die prematurely, their spouse, their children will get, if they die after 10 years on a 40-year guarantee, the next 30 years are going to be made as scheduled, $1,000 per month. You just tell us by way of your estate plan, is it going to be split up among the children, paid to your spouse, that sort of thing.
You can designate a beneficiary just like you would with a life insurance contract.
Exactly. At the issuance of the contract, if you let us know you want it simply cashed in and let your estate spread it out, we can do it that way. We can do it in multiple different ways.
Now, Bob and Dave, you deal with wills and estates and all of the rest of this. When these kinds of possible scenarios are presented, do you jump back in? Are you part of that to determine for the person or your clients, this is initially your client's best interest and their family's best interest? Do you come back into this picture, and how?
Yeah, we do that. The last case we had with catastrophic injuries, Bob and I met with the family. A bank, a trust company came in with Chris as well, and we also put together with another lawyer in our office an estate plan for that purpose, to make sure that everybody was protected and that the wishes of the person who was injured would be carried out should something happen to him before all the money's collected.
Do you have to explain all of this to your clients before they even meet with someone such as Chris? In other words, that they may be we need to anticipate some other issues that weren't imminent while we were dealing with the settlement itself, but now that the case is settled,
That raises
there's a
a good
history,
question.
there's a future.
Because I'm talking to Chris today on another case that's pending now. Now, we're not at the point of settlement yet, but we're already working with someone like Chris because he's helping us lay out some potential streams of income, some things that we see that this family might need. We're not even at the negotiating table yet, but we're trying to start to plan and lay out what can we accomplish, what do we want to accomplish. So Chris is part of the process many times well before you're actually settling the case, and we're leading the client along as we go and explaining to them what some of these possibilities may be down the road.
Is your client with you as you and he are having this discussion? Can they be with you? Yes.
Oftentimes,
Maybe
sure.
some don't.
Yep.
You handle it, I don't want any part of it, but others may be part of it.
They do want to be part of it. And the second part of what we were doing usually doesn't happen until after the case is settled. That's the trust or estate documents that need to be drafted. There's a period of time between the time a case is settled and the time everything's funded. Sometimes you have to get court approval on these things. So there's a time frame to give you the ability to create the estate documents or whatever else needs to be done.
Who has to chase the money if it didn't come forth? Is it you, the lawyer, or you?
Oh, I get that phone call.
You get that phone
but
call.
But it always comes through.
It always comes through.
Yes, it's guaranteed. So, and we set up to make it easy, a direct deposit, that sort of thing.
And it's actually paid early. It's paid before the deadline because
Yeah.
these insurance companies don't want the phone call. So
They
if they
don't
say
want
we're
that
going to pay
call.
you the first of the month, you're going to get it a few days early, most likely.
We don't have much time left, but at the time of settlement, does the judge tell you when it has to be paid by or else there's trouble?
Usually it's in the
It's negotiated.
Yeah.
It's negotiated.
Right.
So that's
The-
still part of what you do
That's
as
what we do.
lawyers.
The judge would get more involved in the minor situation.
Well, that's
Right.
good to know.
Yep.
There's so much information presented. We thank you, Chris, for joining us,
Great to be here.
David, Bob. We want to thank you, of course, for tuning in, and we want to also invite you, I should say Legal Matters wants to invite you on October 21st, which is a Thursday. We are going to be taking it to the community, literally, at the Bristol County Courthouse and State House in Bristol, Rhode Island. Feel free to join us between 7 and 9 p.m. We are going to be live taping the show, and then we will be entertaining your questions. Refreshments are provided courtesy of our legal team here, and we hope that you will be with us. Stay tuned. The conversation of legal matters continues.